I believe, and you may not be surprised, that there is a major problem that is not talked about in our world today, and I believe it is the problem of finding a good man. I thought I had single folks in this church. Because if you speak to many single people, or maybe single parents, it wouldn't be unusual to probably hear some reference to this thought that I can't find a good man. I've spoken to single folks who tell me that it's not that they don't want to get married, but it's just that they haven't found somebody worth marrying. Some people it's so bad that some folks would rather remain single than be married and miserable. And that's probably a good thing, but a sad thing that it's even an option. There are children who are growing up with a physically absent or sometimes physically present but emotionally absent father. And those children too are wondering, where are the good men? Part of the problem with finding a good man today is that biblical manhood is under attack. Now, don't throw stones, but men are becoming more and more domesticated. Selah. Sadly, more and more men are abusive. Sadly, more and more men are emasculated, weakened. More and more males are feminized, or if you prefer, sissified. Manhood is under attack even physically because violence is taking away many of our young men. Drugs and various ills of society have taken our young men. The prison system has taken away many of our young men. But as I thought of this, I realized, beloved, and that the problem always existed. Well, not always, but it existed for a long time, because do you remember God walking through the garden and saying, Adam, where are you? So single ladies, God had the same problem. Families are falling apart. Brother, where are you? Society is in shambles. Man, where are you? Churches are functioning at a deficit. Brothers, where are you? God is asking every man to stand up, not just stand, but stand up and be counted. Since Adam abandoned his position, the challenge has always existed of calling men to biblical manhood. Manhood the way God designed it, not as culture has shaped it. You know, if you speak to many young folks, they don't even see the need for a man. Because not having a man around has become their norm. Oh, okay. And I'm hoping that this month that we can talk about restoring biblical manhood. And I've talked about this for years. I've always believed in this from the inception of the church. But today I don't just want to challenge the man on all the things that they need to do. I want to take a different angle. I want to probably look at some of the reasons why the men are missing. Some of the reasons why the men are not stepping up. Some of the reasons why the men are not standing. And after him was Shamgar, the son of Anath, which slew of the Philistines 600 men with an ox goad, and he also delivered Israel. And the one word that stands out there for me is also. Some version might say he too. And I'm sure all of you've definitely read about Shamgar. I mean, come on, you're considering, But after him was Shamgar, the son of Anath, which slew of the Philistines 600 men with an ox goad, and he also delivered Israel. My topic is the battles of manhood. The battles of manhood. The battles of manhood. You may have heard it said or implied that we will misuse or maybe even abuse what we don't understand. Many men do not rise to their full potential because they do not understand what true manhood entails. Many females cannot truly appreciate the man in their lives because they don't know what true manhood means. They don't understand, and you won't know what true manhood is if you don't understand the battles of manhood. A good man is more than a fantasy. Okay? A good man is about more than what you see in a movie. There are some realities to a man being a good man. Satan is very much aware that we do not understand, that what we do not understand, we misuse or we abuse. That's why he's often orchestrating and instigating misunderstandings. If you were to pay attention to some passages in the Old Testament, Satan is sometimes portrayed as Leviathan. Leviathan represents a twisting spirit. Are you following me? That is a picture of the reality of Satan's involvement in our lives. It is a picture of whenever Satan gets involved, things get twisted. You ever hear somebody said or did something and you said, that's twisted, man? And whenever Satan gets involved, he messes with God's idea of true manhood. He's always trying to twist things. Satan will twist it and cause you to read what is not written. Okay? Satan will cause you to hear what was not said. Am I speaking to humans? Have you ever said something and you what? That was the furthest thing from my mind. But once Satan gets involved, and he's always there, lurking and looking for an opportunity, what is not being written is what's heard or what's read, and what is said is he twists it. Okay, I mean, have you ever had a female in your life, and they say, "Honey, do you like the dress?" And you said no. Follow me. Honey, do you like the dress? No. What's wrong with me? Why don't you like me? What? You asked me about the dress. Okay. It's okay, brothers. You're all alone now. They ask you about the dress, and all of a sudden their attraction is in question. Or you may have, probably may not be wise, but you may have said, well, that's not smart, so you think I'm dumb. Okay. It's a twisting spirit. You say, why don't you do that? Well, why don't you think I can do it? I just said, don't do that. It's probably not good. It's not that I don't think you can do it. You could do it. It's just, by the way, I've heard these things. I've never had these experiences. Just so you guys know. As a pastor, you counsel people, and so I'm just want to be clear. And if I need to call names to vindicate myself, I will. Just joking. But Satan specializes in misunderstandings and twistings and confusion. That's why Paul had to say God is not the author of confusion. And if God is not the author of confusion, then guess who is? And Satan is always twisting things and confusing things. I'm saying this because I want you to hear this. This is not just for men, but in everyday life. Something is said, and because of how you were raised or different things, it gets twisted. So you got to be careful what you react to and what you take as gospel. Satan knows, beloved, and he's been twisting things in the home, twisting things in the church, twisting things in marriages, twisting things in society, twisting things in government. Satan knows that as long as you are ignorant, you're vulnerable. And so he attempts to twist, to influence our understandings in various areas. At the root of biblical manhood, beloved, is the twistings of unbiblical manhood, is the twistings of Satan. Satan has always been trying to doing some twistings as it relates to man and his theology. Satan has always been interested in twisting man's perspective on God. That's why it's hard to get some brothers in church. Because Satan is always twisting what they think, and he'll always have somebody to cause some confusion. When Satan can't stop you from believing in God, he'll twist your understanding of God. That's what has happened to a lot of men. This is how he succeeded with Adam and Eve in the garden. He twisted their understanding of God and what God said. So Satan will twist your understanding of theology, but he'll also twist your understanding of yourself. I'm speaking to the men, but ladies, listen to. But brothers, let me tell you, Satan will mess with how you see you, and he will use society to mess with how you see you. And I submit to you that sometimes how we see ourselves, we're not even aware that we see ourselves that way. Satan knows that if you don't understand you will allow yourself to be subjected to unnecessary abuse and hardships. Because people who do not know their value and their worth are highly prone to settling and and making unwise compromises. The absence of self-worth will result in the presence of mediocrity. The absence of self-worth will result in the presence of average and settling and compromise. That's why when God calls many people in Scripture, he first talks them out of their old identity. He had to talk to Moses out of his old identity. Remember, he called Moses, and Moses begins to tell God all that he's not and all that he cannot do. God calls Jeremiah, and Jeremiah starts telling God all the reasons why he's not qualified. Do you remember Gideon? God calls Gideon, and Gideon tells God all that he's not capable of doing. Satan knows that you will always behave in a way that is consistent to how you see yourself. Thank you. Which is why he twists and confuses and cultivates lies about the real you. So Satan is always doing twisting about our theology. He's twisting, he has some twistings about how we see ourselves, but he's always twisting things about relationship. I don't want to be sensational, but have you noticed how relationships have been defined nowadays? But he's always twisting how relationships have done. Here is what God says. You devote your all into a relationship. Satan says 50-50. So if I give 50, Sister Nat gives 50, I got another 50, she's got another 50, where does it go? And then we wonder why we are not properly connected. Are you with me? And he does all these other twistings and about relationships, and all sorts of stuff happens that think about it. Children are not relating to parents the way they're supposed to. Children relate to teachers better than parents. Sometimes the school has more authority in your home than you. That's a twisting. Here's the problem though. Some parents allow it. I happen to on the YouTube thing, the shorts that they have. Sister Philo watches it. And, of course, naturally, I'm like, oh, what is that? And then you know how it works. You get hooked. And I saw this one about this man who said to his kid, turn the game off and go do your homework. And the kid says, oh, I've got 10 more minutes or something. And the dad says, let's say his name is Johnny. Johnny, turn the game off and go to work. And the kid says, Mom, can you tell your husband that I need 10 more minutes? Yeah, I know. But the dude was calm. Some people are saved. And he said, Johnny, and the wife said, it's all right, just give him some more time. I know. Twisting. And the husband said, Johnny, this is the last time I'm telling you, turn the game off and go do your homework. And the kid said, what's your problem, man? And he, just threw some words at the dad. And the dad got up. He was doing something in the kitchen. Went over to the television and the whole whatever, the gadget. Just pulled it all out. dumped it in the garbage, poured water all over it, turned to the kid, and I love this calmly. I said, go do your homework. Man, that kid just... Now, I tell you, me telling you the story, there's at least one person who can think of a 10 emotional damage effect that could have happened to the kid. But we miss the one fact that the kid learns to respect authority. Okay. And this is just one way. You could see so much from the story. How many times? No, I'm not saying that women and men don't disagree, but don't do it in front of the kid. And stop trusting that, oh, they don't know. Trust me, they're like cameras, absorbing everything. And not only does he, so he twists our understanding of God and our understanding of self, but he messes with how we do relationship. And he's working overtime to make sure that we don't do a relationship right. Most abuse is rooted in a misunderstanding or a twisting of value, in a twisting of purpose, in a twisting of role. Most problems in relationship is because the man don't know who he is. What is his role? The woman don't either. The men don't fully understand the value or the purpose of the woman, and vice versa. I believe that I can safely say that if many men are honest, we would agree that we are often misunderstood. We would agree that we often feel that our realities are twisted. Here's the problem, beloved. Many men are not aware of the battles that we fight every day. And that's why I wanted to take some time to talk about the battles of manhood. Because we are not really aware of the battles, the challenges we face. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying that men need to be enabled. I'm not saying that the excuses that many men give for not doing what they ought to do are acceptable. I'm not saying that we need to condone ungodly, abusive, and sabotaging behavior, but I'm challenging the men under the sound of my voice and the women under the sound of my voice to probably take some time and take stock of the battles that we fight every day. So let's come to our passage. We're still good? Okay. Our text tells us about a man named Shamgar, the son of Anath, and he defeated 600 Philistines with an ox goad. Now, as I said, I love this type of preaching because you just got to stick to the one thing. And as I'm thinking, it's an ox goad. It's simply a stick with a pointed end. He defeated 600 Philistines. Now, you no wonder why we're supposed to be Superman, brothers, because of Shamgar. I mean, 600 Philistines with an ox goad. I mean, the stick it's a stick that was used to poke the ox whilst the ox was plowing and it got offline. Now the ox had to plow in a straight line, and whenever the ox would start veering off, to the right or to the left, whenever it was not on the straight and narrow, the ox would get poked. It get pushed and prodded in a way not to injure him, but to realign him. The ox goad was sharp enough so that the ox could feel it, but dull enough to not wound it. In other words, what to the ox felt like punishment was actually grace. I submit to you that what to us, brothers, may feel like punishment from God is actually grace, trying to realign us into his plans for our lives. And so you've got this dude who defeated 600 Philistines with a stick. Now pay attention to me now. He didn't have, in those days, he could have had a sword. There was no sword. There was no spear. He didn't have a shield. All he had was a stick. Are you with me? Sometimes you will feel like you cannot accomplish all that God has called you to accomplish, but God is able to do more. Amen. Without giving you more. He's able to do more with what you have without giving you more. Now many of us are underutilizing what God has already given us. Because if God didn't give you a spear, it's because you don't need a spear. Work with what you've got. He desires that if you don't have connections, work with what you've got. God can work with whatever level of education you have. God decides that he desires that all men understand this principle, that the power is not in the sword, the power is not in the connection, the power is not in the education, but the power is from him. He is the enabler. He is the one that gives you power. That's why the Bible says it's not by might, not by my power, but by my spirit, the source of power. And I wish that every man would choose to trust God with what they've got. Gideon had his 300. But brother, sometimes all you've got is a stick. Samson had supernatural strength. But brothers, all you've got sometimes is a stick. And if all you've got is a stick, God can still do it. As I was thinking about this, and I did a bit of a search, and maybe somebody else could find it, that's all right. But I realized that Shamgar, who did this amazing thing, gets like one verse in the entire Bible. Am I making sense to the brothers? Okay. The whole Bible. He did this amazing thing. Gideon had all kinds of issues. And he gets chapters. Samson, I mean, did he go to heaven? How do you, theological questions there. But he gets chapters. But Shamgar, the son of Anath, slew 600 Philistines, and he gets one verse. Any brother could relate? Because Shamgar represents many men today. Many men are fighting battles that many people don't know about, and as a result, they are not properly appreciated. Many men are making contributions that don't seem big enough to you, and as a result, is underappreciated. Gideon had 300. Samson had supernatural strength. Shamgar had to do it by himself. Some brothers can relate to that. Doing it by yourself. That feeling of loneliness. That feeling of being restricted and underappreciated. Are we still good? Yeah. Shamgar was doing all that he was doing with a stick. Okay. I'm saying to us that he was doing all that he was doing with a stick. That means he had limitations. He had restrictions. But he was doing enough that he could do. And here's the problem. I'm sure that even though he was doing all that he could with only one stick, it was still not good enough for some. Okay. Nobody's ever been there where you have done like you are done, you've exhausted yourself, and you still feel it was not good enough. You know why sometimes we don't even feel this and allow ourselves to feel it, brothers? Because we find other ways to satisfy that not good enough feeling. All he had was a stick. And he did it without an example. That's what I'm saying. He did it without a mentor. Some brothers are doing it without a father. Okay. Some brothers are doing it without another man influencing them and guiding them. Some brothers are doing it without an inheritance from an estate. Okay? Some brothers came from nothing, and they're doing it with only a stick. And all he gets is one verse, which is about one sentence in the entire Bible. What's my point? With God, grace will make a hard thing look easy. Brothers, sometimes we will never get the kind of empathy or sympathy or consideration or appreciation that is needed because people just don't understand the kind of burden that you're carrying or of battles that you're fighting. But thank God for grace that gives us strength to endure. The grace that makes a hard thing, an impossible thing, even easy. Some men would want the people in their life to know that just because I don't look stressed doesn't mean that I'm not stressed. Not because I'm not crying doesn't mean I'm not sad. Not because I'm not cracking doesn't mean that I don't feel pressure. Some of us brothers, we've got to do some things without what other people has had available to them. Am I speaking to alive men? Then let me know you're alive. Because the ladies are saying, what? And? I want your amens to be the loudest. Because these are our battles that don't often get talked about, yet the expectations still continue. The problem is, we're working with all we've got. Okay. Some of us, we don't have what other people had available to them. And that's what I'm trying to enlighten us. I don't want the brothers to feel alone. And hopefully the females will have a bit of an understanding. You know, let me say something, and this is important. We have a couple of people like that, and you may know some people. This is why I have a problem. Okay. I had said to the Lord, I'm not going to go to Trouble Street today. But this is why single parents must be careful. Especially if you're raising boys. Because there are some battles that you got to prepare that boy to face as a man that you as a woman, you'll never, ever, ever, and ever, and ever be able to prepare. I don't care how good you is. You know, there's some females with fathers, they am the father. Great, knock yourself out. But that boy needs a man. Because only a man can show a boy how to be a man. Now, please, let me be clear. I am not putting down single parenting. I'm the product of that. But I'm saying there are some things we must get right about that. And some single mothers have done an amazing job. And they're doing an amazing job. But make sure you find men, qualified, capable, godly men of character and integrity. That's why sometimes you suck salt with the ex-husband or the ex-boyfriend or whatever it is just for the sake of that boy. Okay. That's why you got to put your own feelings aside and be like, well, you know, since the boy is here, since the girl is here, I got to endure a little bit of some things because of my choices so that this kid is better than. Oh, okay. Every day a man wakes up, he deals with one of the battles that I'm going to share with you. But let me give you the first battle that every man faced. Number one, handling rejection. Okay? Now I know, brothers, we run from it. So it don't look like we're being rejected anymore because we don't stand up to be counted, so we can't be rejected. Okay. If I don't show up, I can't be rejected. If I don't say nothing, I can't be rejected. But one of the toughest challenges that men face is the challenge of handling rejection. You know, there's a general understanding that it's mostly females who face rejection. But men may respond to rejection differently, but the wounds of rejection are the same for both male and female. Rejection is, in essence, the refusal to accept someone for who they really are. Rejection is when you refuse to accept someone for who they really are. And think about it. With all that is going on in society today, a key missing element is the voice of men. Why? Because we've been silenced. We've been rejected. The average man feels rejected at home, at work, and especially in society. I mean, the average man may not even realize that he's been rejected because we have become so numb to rejection. But watch the TV shows. The heroes are often women. Now, I don't have a problem with that. I'm an equal opportunities employer. But here's the issue. It shouldn't be the woman at the expense of the man. In other words, the woman is not the one rescuing the man because the man has been downgraded or degraded or weakened. Girl power. Or what gets me is when the man is portrayed as unintelligent. I want you to hear what I'm saying, because this thing is right in your house. You pay for it every month to downgrade, degrade, emasculate your man or your boys. Your cable bill, your Netflix bill, and you got your kids watching it. You got your daughters watching it. Like, you don't need a man, girl. The boys are, yeah, no, that's not you. You got to know, no trouble street. Most people don't watch. We don't pay attention to what we watch on TV. Well, it's not TV anymore. It's whatever platform you're watching it on. Have you ever paid attention to the shows? Animals are sometimes more valuable than men. How can we as men be all that we are destined to be when right off the bat we fight this battle of rejection? And sometimes we are rejected by those we care about and those we love. Now again, I want to be very clear. I am not saying that dysfunction must be accepted and condoned. I'm not saying that sinful behavior must be endorsed, but I'm saying that we should be wise and alert to our actions of rejection. Sometimes society and the women around us have a way of forcing men into a box that we don't belong in. If you ever did the research on the word rejection, the etymology of it, and you see the background of it, you'd realize that it comes from a Latin word which means to reverse, to go backwards. So you're wondering, why are we not moving forward? Maybe the man is dealing with rejection. I know it may not even be your fault. You married him, so now you're going to deal with it. But maybe he was rejected by his mommy, his daddy, or somebody. He told you a bunch of stuff that you thought that was so sweet, you believed it. You got words, no facts. You collected data, you didn't test it. You said, well, the data sounds good. I'll marry him. But there's something about his psyche where he's a backward trender. 2 steps forward, 10 steps backwards. 3. Okay. He loves to drive, looking in the rear view. When a person experiences rejection, it pushes them backwards instead of going forward in their pursuit of God's best for them. Rejection is like telling somebody to be themselves but punishing them when they are. Because some men have had this experience where the females in our lives tell us, be you. And then when you are you, they get upset. Okay. They tell us to be honest. And when they said, do you want to go over there with me? Be honest. Nope. As a matter of fact, I never wanted to go. And then now they're upset. But you told me, be honest. They tell us to be ourselves. And then when we are not passionate or excited about what they're excited about, it's like, well, I thought you loved me. Are you following? I want to be clear. I'm not saying to accept dysfunction and I keep repeating that. I'm not saying to accept slothfulness. I'm not saying to accept disrespect. Let me be very clear. And brothers, I want you to hear me. Men ought to listen and dialogue and sometimes compromise with their wives and their children. God didn't create marriage as a dictatorship. Head of the home don't mean you do what I say. That's nonsense. You submit it to God, she submit it to you, you submit it to each other. That's how it works. Yes, somebody takes leadership. I'm not saying you don't have conversations. You listen to your children. It's not do as I say. I want to be very clear. Men ought to be engaging and present with their children, no matter their age. Well, now they're 15, they're 18. That's when they need you most. Be engaged. Get engaged. I don't care how old she is. Still date her. If the husband has a problem, she now takes the husband and he has a problem with you dating your daughter, that's a problem. When the man comes for the interview to marry your daughter, you have to say one thing I got to make clear. My daughter and I, we have a date every month. It's not going to be a problem. Here's the problem. Most of you don't have a date with your daughter, so you don't even have an interview process. The girl tells you she likes John Jim Bob, and you're like, oh, okay, well, I hope it works out. I beg your pardon? As a matter of fact, it's not just, sometimes it's not just oh, I said I was not going to move. Because I don't want to get in trouble, and I don't want to get off. Because it's not just the girls, the boys need it too. So Johnny, who are you talking to? Who are your friends? Tell me about your friends. What do they do? Is their father at home? As a matter of fact, if there's father, you need to meet their father. Look him in the eye. Oh, okay. I trust myself. You trust your who? Ask questions. Can you travel to the States? Why? Just asking. Somebody got it. When was the last time you went to Watertown? You never been. Oh, how come? Oh, so you're prone to criminal activity. Oh, interesting. Okay. You got to do what you got to do. You get where I'm going? Protect your kids. So I'm saying men ought to be engaging. You got to be present. Listen, brothers, you have to be affectionate. You got to be attentive with your kids. Boys need affection too. Girls need affection, and your wife definitely needs affection, attention, and affirmation. Don't grunt, speak. Don't grab, touch. Stop and look at her. You know what I mean? Let what's in your heart come out. When you see her and you think back to when, 5 years ago, just smile. Be like, what are you smiling about, girl? Here's another thing that I really want to say. Brothers, there's something that really gets me. And this honey-do list craziness, like it should be a list, not a honey-do list. And this foolishness about, I'll get to it when, I believe that is ungodly. Because as a man, you represent Christ in your home. When you ask God for something, he does it. And if he don't do it, he's actively working on the case. Okay. So if anybody should have a list, it's you. List of things to get done. Monday I do this. Tuesday I do. Get the stuff done. Cause your woman and your kids to come into the home and know it's handled. Listen, even if you have to call a person, get it done. Put your pride aside. Okay. Your woman shouldn't have to be watching TV and looking at the strong guy who comes and does everything and wishing, I wish my man was like that. She's supposed to be unimpressed by that. Okay. Anyhow, let's get back to the sermon. Whenever a person feels rejected, they go into suppression mode. So that's what happens, brothers. Some of us are suppressed. Here's what happens. If we stay in suppression mode for too long, we become oppressed. You become oppressed for too long, you get depressed. And you stay in depression for too long, you get possessed. Because now a spirit take over. And it's not often a good one. And so you have these good days, and suddenly a girl catch a man on a good day, and they date, and so he has a good couple of years, and then after a sudden he get married, and he goes right back into the depression. And you wonder, what happened? He was always depressed. Many men are doing life in suppression mode. There's some men who exhibit a version of themselves that is different than what they exhibit when they're with you. They're with their brothers. They're with family members. And you're like, I didn't know he laughs. One lady said, I didn't know he talk. It's because they probably feel suppressed or suffocated. Because he doesn't feel that he's allowed to be himself when he's with you. And when a man don't feel rejected by certain people, he shows them his authentic self. When a man feels any kind of rejection by an individual or a group of people, he gives them the version of himself that they want. The version that they can handle. The version that they expect. See, part of the problem, brothers, is that sometimes we don't understand rejection. Because not that we don't understand rejection, we don't understand why we're rejected. Am I speaking to men? Yes. You know something happened, but you're like, what did I do? Here's what happens to most of us. We just, whatever, man. It's just whatever. Because sometimes we were raised by mothers that didn't teach us, or fathers who didn't teach us how to own our emotions, identify our emotions. And so some men could understand if they're rejected because of something they did, or because of one of their struggles, or because of their dysfunction. But when a man gets rejected because of his personality, it's hard. You see, part of the reason why men don't understand when they're rejected is because sometimes the complaints we get were once the things that you liked. Okay. Can we be real? You're dating a girl, you hook up with some girl. She loved the fact that you had your stuff together. I mean, that's amazing. Now you were together, and what was great is not bothersome. Because when you were dating, you were organized, structured. You said you'd show up at 10:30. My God, oh Lord. I mean, you showed up at 10:25. She loved it. Now you're married. We're leaving at 9:20. Okay. Before we were married, I always showed up on time. You loved that. Now I say we're leaving at 9:15. Why is it that 9:13? Okay, why am I alone? What you appreciated is now a problem. Because what fashionably lit, what is that? Before you were married, or before it was amazing. You counted every dollar. You knew. You talked about budget and everything was fine. And then now you're married and you say, honey, that $46.28, can you tell me what it was for? Why? I work for my own money. But you like that I balanced the books. I did the budget before. Now all of a sudden, maybe this might make sense. You were dating, dealing with a person, and you handled stuff. You know how to get us out of a problem. You were smart and intelligent, and they celebrated that. And then now you're married, and you still don't talk a lot, but they expect you to talk a lot. So follow me. Talk a lot, fix problems. Talk a lot. Okay, which one do you want, woman? Because I'm either thinking to fix the problem or I'm talking. Okay, all right. You know what? Let me just get to the end of the points, because I'm preaching to people who already have this together. So just pray for Sister Nellie and I. No, we're just going to jump to the end. So point number 1, handling rejection. Let me give you the next one. Since you rejection is not a thing for you. Number 2, overcoming temptations. That's a battle that men face. We are often facing or fighting some kind of temptation. And by the way, there are other temptations besides sexual temptations. Okay, can the brothers, can we agree? Because this tendency, you're a man, all you do is lust. No. Some have lying problems too. That's a temptation. Some have overeating temptations. Overspending, they're all bad, but you get what I'm saying. We're not all lusting, okay? Some have jealousy temptations, some have grumbling temptations. The urge to complain. Another temptation, doubt is a temptation in my opinion. Some have pride temptation. Money, there's other laziness is a temptation too. We're not all sitting there like, who are we going to get with, what we're going. No. Sorry, just, because that's often how it's portrayed. The best way to get a man down is with a woman. No. For some of us, you can dance naked on your head and be like, what is your problem? I'll lay hands on you. But here's the thing, brothers. What is worse is that oftentimes the temptation that we fight or the weaknesses that we face are not the kind of temptations that we chose. Most of us are dealing with weaknesses and temptations that we didn't choose. And by the way, women, you are not the only one who don't like our weaknesses. You are not the only one that is bothered by our temptations. Because most men will tell you that we too hate our weaknesses. We hate our temptations too. What? By the way, ladies, you only dislike what you know about. We know the whole story. How is this biblical, Pastor? Well, Paul said, "Oh, wretched man that I am, who will deliver me from this body of death?" Of course, thank God he said through Jesus Christ. So, brothers, we're not alone. Paul had issues too. Now, again, I like to say this. Let me be clear. I'm always giving this caveats. Because a man is fully responsible for his actions. A man is fully responsible for his responses or his reactions to his impulses and his urges. A man is fully responsible for the decisions that he makes when he's tempted. But weaknesses and temptations is a real challenge for most men. One of the hardest things for brothers is that we are expected to oftentimes choose our responses to temptations, but we never get to choose our temptations. Some men have temptations that were inherited. Temptations that are destructive and expensive and embarrassing and painful, and those are real struggles for men. But brothers, thank God that through Jesus Christ and the power and the person and the presence of the Holy Spirit, we can overcome. Can I say one more thing to the women? Can I? Oh, Lord. The church don't want me to talk to them. Ladies, can I say one more thing for you? Please stop trying to be a man's deliverer. Oh, okay. Please stop trying to rescue men. Oh, okay. I know you like it because it makes you feel good, but it's bad. It's because you're broken. Oh, okay. Please stop trying to be a man's healer, women. Stop making some man's problem your problem. Is this all right? Too many women find themselves making... I pastor a church where there is both men and women. Some of my older men, well, they're just too old. They won't listen to the young pastor. But the younger ones listen. And you ask them, they'll tell you. I see them trying to fix their partners. I'm like, no. I just want that to settle. Because single mothers try to do that too. Your boy trying to figure, no, I don't want to let him suffer. Okay. If I missed the bus, my mother did a great job in Montreal. Because if I missed the bus, she didn't send a taxi. But you know what she would say? You were supposed to be at 3:30. You know what time you're going to be here? 3:30. But Mom, I missed the bus. 3:30. Okay, you think that's all kind of abuse? No. Because guess what? I had to find a way. Figure out, my God, I never knew that if I jump on that Metro, got on that one, I get the 51, I'll be home 3:25. Okay, but what does a good single mother does? Yell, how come you? And then they rescue you. No. Here's the rule, sonny boy. You better be here the time you were supposed to be here and watch them be late in the future. Okay, all right. You see, I know you ladies, but if it's a man though, you know what happens? That boy will be like terrified. As a matter of fact, he'll run after the bus and end up reaching home. That's what a good man does. You know what I said, right? Okay, all right. But and I'm not talking about abuse. I want to be very clear. Okay, very, very clear. No. But I was speaking to the ladies. I want you to create. I got 7 minutes. I want you to create a safe space for him if you want to, but don't try to heal him. Okay, maybe you can be a safe person for him to find healing, but don't try to rescue him. We'll talk about that next week, brothers. What do you do? And if you're a man, stop depending on a woman to rescue you and be your deliverer, always pulling you out of stuff. No. Even Jesus was not able to heal people who didn't want to be healed. Let me say one more thing to the men. If you are a man, as we talk about weaknesses, you got to know your weaknesses. It's embarrassing, Pastor, so know it, own it, talk to somebody about it. Know your weaknesses, be aware of what tempts you so you can put a system in place for protection and preservation and prevention. Don't pray. Listen, brothers, don't pray your temptations away. Have you not realized it don't work? I can't tell you how many prayers I've prayed about some temptation. It don't work. And this, we need to teach our young boys this. Pray it. Lust does not go away by prayer. Think about it. God is not sadistic. He created you, gave you warm blood running through your veins. When your body starts reacting normally, Father, take it away. And God's like, all right, gone. God's not weird. Because that's why he has a fruit of the Spirit called self-control. But the problem is we don't teach our boys. Most boys don't hear talk about sex or anything sexual. So the boy's figuring out stuff and he's figuring, and then there's no man saying, so is this happening? For the brothers, oh, okay, so this is normal, okay. So when his friends are talking about pornography, he's like, what is that? You know, that's bad. Because daddy already told me about this. Oh, come on. You put a system in place. So when you have a conversation, so did you see this girl today? What came to your mind? How did your body react? You know that. You see what I'm saying? Okay. Men, we have a tendency to overcompensate. You put a bunch of men together. I'm not going to tell you my experiences. But you put a bunch of men together. We're overcompensating. Listen, you want to overcompensate in an area, overcompensate when it comes to how you deal with your weaknesses. Number 3, another battle that we face is the pursuit of prosperity. This pursuit of financial success is very real for most men. This is the challenge, and the challenge that most men are fighting when it comes to pursuing of prosperity or acquiring wealth is that we have little information on how to do it. We have limited information. And here's another thing. Most of us didn't get a head start. Okay? Most of us didn't get an inheritance. Most of us didn't get education. What's a GIC? What's a tax-free savings account? And one of the challenges for men when we're pursuing wealth is, and another challenge is in pursuing prosperity, is the idea of finding balance. The more I work, the more successful I am financially, but then the more I work is the less I'm with my family. How do I find that balance? The wife wants you home early so we can live out the fantasy. You know, sit at the table every evening, all 3 of us, we hold hands. Father, bless my wonderful family. But then she also wants you to make a lot of money. Okay, lady, pick. Find balance. Okay. Because some women want the success and the fantasy. I'm gonna run through. But this is one of the battles, brothers. Do we agree? Number 4, speaking truth. Speaking truth is a real battle for men, especially today. I've had the opportunity to be in the school system, and sometimes I speak to these teachers, and I'm just like, you know, they have a natural defensive mechanism. Yeah. It's like you fire, they're just like, oh, reject. You pass the kid, but he didn't pass. And they look at you like, and? But you can't speak truth. Because then if you speak truth, well, they'll call CAS. Try telling a teacher, if my kid didn't pass, you fail him. Keep doing that. Before too long, CS is going to want to make sure the mental well-being of the child is okay or something like that. And so when I say speak truth, I don't mean, of course, I don't have to tell you to speak truth. Men should, nobody should lie. So that's what I'm talking about, just speaking truth as we understand the scripture's truth, right? And most men will tell you that their voice and their point when they're speaking must be stronger than the person they're speaking to most times. Most men don't talk to their wives because I don't have enough arguments like you. You got 15 words, I have 5. Okay. Most men don't talk to their kids because they're like, yeah, no, you're too armed. Because what I know is that I know that I know that this is my house, my rules. It's also hard to speak truth when someone's pain has become their truth. A lot of ladies, their pain has become their truth. Some men don't speak truth because they'll tell you, listen, my spouse can't handle it. The children can't handle it. So they just don't bother. Let me give you number 5. It sounds like these are some serious battles because you get you thinking. Here's another battle we face, brothers, the battle of finding healing. Finding healing. This is where we'll end. Because many men are wounded. And what is worse, brothers, is that we are wounded from fights that we never caused. Hello? We are wounded from fights that we were not even present for. We are wounded from fights that our daddies and granddaddies caused or were a part of. Some wounds were transferred to us. Some of the wounds, brothers, that we face are not the wounds of commission, but rather the wounds of omission. Because we didn't do it. And we end up in situations and relationships, and we have to do life with the wounds. It's not that we don't want healing, it's a struggle to find the healing. Because the wives don't help us heal, they demand healing. They demand the better versions of ourselves. And it goes both ways. You've got a woman who was raised in a good, healthy home. She's like, well, weren't you that way? And you got one who was not in a good, healthy home and with a good, healthy dad. And then she's just like, well, I want better. Listen, I think you're better off single until you find what you want. But don't compromise and make your life and somebody else's life miserable. Because then what happens is you come together and you produce a generation of misery and hurt and pain. And if it has happened before, the Lord will give you grace and you work through it, but it's time to change that.